That sounds like
Hello.
Emma.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. Hey.
We'll get there in the end. It's fantastic to see you. Let's see if I can add some people in, and I also just want to add your link to the thing as well, but we can do that after as well. I'll just add a couple of people, invite a couple of people, and see if we can get anyone joining us. So, but it's fantastic to have you here today, finally, after we tried this in September, didn't we? So we've been trying for a little while. So, but that's okay. We got here in the end is the main thing, isn't it? Okay.
That's right. It's all about problem solving. So.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think you'll be able to teach us a little bit about that in your journey for Homeward Bound as well. Okay, I'll just send this out to the world. Please join us on Zoom. Join on Zoom at this. Now, we'll see who rocks up. Okay, well, welcome. So thanks for joining us today, Robyn. Hello, we've got some people. That's great. I'm going to put everybody on mute, apart from, hello, Andrew, how are you? I'm going to put everybody on mute, or go through and mute people as they join, or maybe you could mute yourselves, actually. That will help. And then just Robyn and I can chat. So, Robyn, I don't have any of my questions. You are going to Antarctica or leaving on a boat on Boxing Day. Is this correct?
That is correct. So, yeah, I'm part of the third cohort of the Global Women's Leadership Science and Strategy Program, Homeward Bound. Mm-hmm. So, over 10 years, this program hopes to create this network of 1,000 women with a background in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or medicine, with this shared vision of bringing women into, or empowering women to take up leadership positions with a view on global issues, so particularly environmental issues. Okay. So, yeah, I'm part of the third cohort, and I head to Antarctica on, Ushuaia on Boxing Day, and we leave from Ushuaia for Antarctica on New Year's.
Wow, that's so exciting. That's congratulations. So did you just say which cohort that you're part of? Is it the first year, or is it year 10, or where are we up to?
Yeah, so so there was one in 2016, one in 2018, so the beginning of the year they went in February, and then I'll be the third cohort.
Okay, and how did you come across this, Robyn? This is an amazing opportunity for your leadership development. How did this come across it? Did you make this opportunity, or did someone nominate you, or how did you come across it?
So I work for CSIRO in Australia. So CSIRO is Australia's national science organisation. And since the first cohort, there were a number of CSIRO women involved in the first cohort and also the second cohort. And obviously through the CSIRO networks, I heard about this program and thought, what an amazing opportunity. We are involved in a lot of leadership programs at this stage of my career anyway, and to combine that with the focus on environmental issues and to be involved in such a global program was an opportunity I just couldn't resist. And of course, I applied for the third cohort and was lucky enough to be accepted, and here I am. So we've done a few months worth of online preparation and lead up, and then obviously the residential course program, I suppose you'd call it. It's,
let's go back to the start on that, because I've got some questions on that. So first thing you said, in this stage of your career, so you're a veterinarian?
Yes.
And could you just tell me what stage of your career you're up to, where you graduated from when, and actually just a bit of a quick timeline of your career to date?
Sure. So I am a 2008 Murdoch graduate. I was one of those kids who grew up always wanting to be a vet. And then I went into small animal practice and realized that I wanted to go into vet because I was curious about things and I wanted to know why things were happening. And veterinary practice, there are a lot of different pressures, as everybody, all your listeners would be aware of. And so I felt that my curiosity wasn't being fully explored. And so I went back to do a PhD in viruses, studying viruses and the way they work and how they cause disease and how we can prevent them. And so that led me to take up a research scientist position or a postdoc position at CSIRO, and I'm now a research scientist there, studying still viruses and epidemiology of pathogens of veterinary importance.
Yeah, wow. So you're 10 years out now, and at which point did you actually step out of practice? You went into smallest practice, and when did you step out and start this amazing career in this deep science of virology?
So I worked full-time only for 18 months, but I continued to work as a part-time or locum vet through my PhD studies, and I still use my vet skills. So I volunteer for Pets in the Park, and so I do that once a month on average, and I still do some veterinary work for the small animal facilities at CSIRO in Canberra as well. So certainly not out of the game, but my main focus is on the research.
No, that's fantastic. And so you describe yourself as curious, and so just looking back for a minute, and then we'll look forward onto what you're about to embark on. So what about practice wasn't ticking the curious box for you?
So I think, with small animal practice, there's a lot of pattern recognition. There's a lot of common things that occur commonly. There's a lot of time pressures, and then obviously, and they're completely understandable pressures, but for whatever reason, people not wanting to pursue workups, unless there's an easy answer, then oftentimes you don't get to sort of pursue that. And again, when things don't work, you don't get to follow up why they didn't work, or again, those sort of classic experimental studies comparing and contrasting. It's small cohorts and very anecdotal. So I think
you wasn't being fed by the sounds of that. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly rewarding from time to time, but I think for me it was that fundamental curiosity that wasn't being satisfied in vet practice for me.
Okay, that's great. And what was your PhD on, the topic of it? Which virology topic?
So I was studying recombinant vaccines for the poultry industry. So ways we can use different viruses as vectors to make multivalent recombinant vaccines.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Okay, so and then it's a competitive thing to get into Homeward Bound. And so how did you promote yourself to get into Homeward Bound, and how was that process? How did you find it?
It was, any application process is always stressful, I think. Most of us feel like imposters, and how did we get here? And so it's always challenging promoting yourself. We had to do a video as part of the application process as well. So that was a really interesting experience in visibility and communication. But yeah, I think I just tried to convey my passion for protecting this planet that we live on, and for advocating for women in STEM, and why we need diversity at those leadership levels. And obviously, I hope something I said got through. So here I am.
That's great. And so with this, can you outline the process of Outward Bound? So you said something about meeting up as a team and going through like a training process. Could you give us a bit of a timeline of that, what it looked like or what it's been like?
So as part of the program, we have monthly Zoom calls with the whole cohort and the leadership team. And each month there's sort of a different topic on visibility or communication strategy or personal strategy. We've also done a number of diagnostic evaluations and learning tools through the program, and so those will be discussed at these monthly calls. We also get split into learning groups, so smaller groups of women within the cohort, because we are so globally spread out, to be able to form those sort of deeper connections with smaller groups of people, particularly before we all jump on a ship together for 3 weeks, so that we know a few people well, rather than lots of people very broadly. And then there's been coaching sessions as well through the program, surrounding the feedback from the diagnostic tools that we've done, the leadership diagnostics and the values.
I was reading on your chat, so you've been blogging about that so there's got really interesting blogs about these diagnostics on personality and leadership styles, and we're going to post a link that you can go there. And also I'll just throw in that we'll ask her next about fundraising. Robyn has been on a fundraising journey as well, and if you are keen to support Robyn, please do. You'll be able to do that at that Chuffed link as well. But yeah, so tell me more about that leadership diagnostics. What was that like? What's that process been like personally for you?
So I've undertaken a number of sort of diagnostic tools in previous positions as well. I think the big value of the LSI, which was the main one that I'm focused on, is a 360-degree feedback process. So it's not, well, it reflects what you think about yourself and your worldview, but it also gets feedback from 8 close colleagues, so in a work setting, and that's managers, colleagues, and report, and looks at how the world sees you as well as the way you see the world, and then compares and contrasts those results. And so that's been really interesting for me, because I have a fairly I thought I had a fairly true or realistic version of what I was like, but obviously it's interesting seeing that other people see you differently, and how your actions then impact other people, and people that you're trying to lead and that you're trying to manage. So that has been a really unique opportunity.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds good. So sorry, I interrupted. I was getting to the bit where you're on 3 weeks on a boat. So you've been doing these leadership things. You talked about the leadership diagnostics and told us a bit about that. And in a small group of how many others that you get to know a bit closer?
So the third cohort, there's 80 women from 29 different countries, and the smaller groups we shift around every couple of months, so there's usually 3 or 4 people. So I feel going into this that I know, maybe 15 of the ladies really well already.
Okay, so you're on a boat, a ship, or describe it for me. I don't even know what you're getting on for 3 weeks, and tell me about that experience, and then what happens at the end.
So it's the MV Ushuaia is the ship we will be on. On the 31st of December, we board the boat, and then it's a 2-day trip across the Drake Passage, which has a reputation as it can be quite a bad sea crossing, and I am prone to motion sickness, so I have put extensive research into different motion sickness management options. And then once we cross over to the Antarctic Peninsula, it'll be a combination of sort of a half day of leadership coursework on board. We're doing a science symposium at sea to get a feel for all the different science that the different ladies are bringing to the ship.
Wow.
We're also, Christina Figueres is also on board as part of our leadership team. So she was the UN Secretary for Climate Convention a number of years ago. And so to have her experience as a woman in a significant leadership position, and with her experience on influencing climate policy and environmental policy, will be amazing. And then the other half of the day will be landings to experience Antarctica and how our human actions are shaping our planet, because Antarctica is showing such rapid response to global changes.
And then what happens? Do you get on the ship home, or do you have to, what happens then?
Yeah, so we live on the ship, so it'll be daily landings, but we will visit stations, Antarctic research stations while we're down there, but we will be staying on board the ship. And so after 3 weeks of travelling around the peninsula and doing this intensive programs and coursework, then we'll cross back over the Drake Passage and then have a wrap up again in Ushuaia and then all fly home to hopefully take up leadership and policy positions in the future.
Fantastic, that's so exciting. So now you've had to fundraise for this, and you are more than halfway on your goal. You had to raise 15,000 Australian dollars, and I saw today that your total is 8,123 or something like this. So let's see if I can bring it up. So there'll be a link. Oh no, 8,253. So that's fantastic. But how can people help support you to get you there? Tell me what it's been like to live through fundraising for this, and what's your take-home learnings has been through this experience.
So I think that's one of the big learnings of the Homeward Bound program has been the visibility and through the fundraising in particular. So I guess I didn't expect it to be as challenging as it was, but it really makes me value people who fundraise for a living for these not-for-profit organisations and such. It is a full-time job, trying to get the message out there. So I hosted a Women in STEM Antarctica Environmental Issues Trivia Night and raised some money that way. I've been paid to give a school presentation to year 10 to 12 high school girls about careers in STEM. I've hosted an online silent auction. I've also garnered sponsorship from a women's adventure company in return for a blog post and leading walks for them. And I spoke at a couple of film nights as well to try to get my message out there. And then through my Chuff page, there are some great incentives if you help support my journey. So you can get a postcard directly from Antarctica. I'll be doing a calendar from some of my photos when I get back, so you can buy a calendar. I forget what other...
And you're going to do a polar plunge, I see. We have to get her there because apparently there's a polar plunge involved.
That's right. So, and if I reach $10,000 in my fundraising, I'll do a polar plunge as well. And I'm originally from Townsville and I hate the cold. So that's a fairly big achievement if I can do that.
That's amazing. I don't think I could do that. That's really brave. That's fantastic. Okay, so come on, guys. We have to get Robyn across the line, at least to 10,000. But if we can get her to 15,000, then even better. And so as the scientist, and from reading your blog posts, you seem like quite a reserved person. And going out and fundraising has really taken you out of your comfort zone. What's that experience been like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, again, I'm used to, only make statements when you have firm evidence to support that. And so being able to talk about the story and the journey and the potential has been really hard. There are so many amazing causes in this world to try to justify why people should be supporting me over all of these other causes has been immensely difficult. But I think the main learning from that is knowing that it's not just supporting me individually, that this is supporting diversity in STEM and leadership in general. And it's not just about me, it's about building these cohorts to build this network to then influence other women in the future and to provide more role models for future women in STEM. So it's been amazing reflecting on my values and motivation for Homeward Bound and being able to communicate that to supporters. So that's been the main learning for that. And yeah, having to make it personal and having to tell the stories. So yeah,
very challenging. You've done really well. Like, it's been I think from my own experience stepping out, it is a really challenging thing to promote yourself and step out of your comfort zone and step, as scientists, step into that internet space and actually put your personality forward. And it is it hasn't. I worked for government before. It was not particularly encouraged there. So it is quite a challenge. So good on you for getting out there and getting it done. And we're definitely getting you a polar plunge. So that is just definitely happening. And so we'll have to wrap up in a couple of minutes. So if you've got the major learning so far, and then your vision for the change that you're trying to bring in, and we'll wrap up on that.
So I think, the major learnings, the LSI diagnostic tool was really valuable. So seeing the difference between how I see myself and then how my actions influence how other people see me. And so I think particularly as I take up a leadership role and start to manage a team, which is at the transition I'm at the moment, how my thought processes impact others. So that's been really valuable, and I've already feel that I've started to implement changes around those findings and the coaching that I've had on that. I hope that on board we'll go into that in more detail. The visibility, I think, has been a major learning as well. It's been a pretty amazing journey. I think going forward, the Antarctica trip, again, being able to connect with all these women, and I really hope that both within the cohort and then with future cohorts and past cohorts, I hope that this network really does enable us to bring about true change by there's such a diverse range of experiences and career stages and people that I would never interact with normally because they're just from totally different scientific worlds. And so I really think that bringing us together, and there's been already some major impacts across cohorts with Homeward Bound. And so I think, this 1,000-strong network of like-minded, strong women is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future, I hope. So, yeah.
That sounds great. And so I'll throw one last one at you. So if someone's trying to follow in your footsteps, and because I'm already keen myself personally, how would one at different stages of their career, so even like a pretty young person out there but who's a keen bean and might not have had that experience in Cyro necessarily, or is a PhD a prerequisite, or what would be an encouraging, how would they get about applying for that? And what do you think?
So the best place to look at is homewardboundprojects.com.au. You can sign up to their mailing list and you'll be notified about when future application rounds and what's involved in those application rounds. You definitely don't need a PhD. They encourage at least an undergraduate degree in science, some of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or medicine. We've had first-year PhD students. We've had people working for government. So even without us, they've done an arts degree but are working in climate policy and government, and because they're associated with environmental science that way, they've been able to make the case for their application. So I think anybody who's passionate about protecting our environment and advocating for gender diversity, by all means, homewardboundprojects.com.au and keep an eye out for the next episode.
Okay, well, I'll post that link as well, and I'll be posting this video back to Facebook where we tried to start today, and I'll also be posting the chucked link to support Robyn in her fundraising, and I look forward to everybody joining me in supporting Robyn. And Robyn, I'd just really like to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for doing this hard yards and getting yourself out there on all of our women scientists' behalf. And thank you very much for joining us. It's been really, really enjoyable.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Again, it's amazing to be able to connect with people like, through Homeward Bound, which I would never have done without the program incentives. So.
No worries. Okay. If you've got any questions for Robyn, just throw them on the Facebook feed. She'll come in and she will answer that, and just we'll keep her aware of what's going on until she heads off on her trip. So she's pretty busy getting ready. So tonight she'll be around if you want to send some questions her way. And other than that, she might take a couple of days, or you might lose her and she might be on a boat heading to Antarctica and have to get back in touch with her later. But they can reach you through your Chuff page as well, can't they? And on Facebook.
Absolutely. Yep. Chuffed, email, Facebook, yeah, or any of the above.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, Robyn. It's Emma Davis signing off tonight, and just love everyone to love their veterinary career. Okay. Good night.